A brief history of Iron Age and the Bronze Age. Iron is one of the most important metals in human history. It was the first metal that people learned how to make and use. People used it for tools, weapons, and many other things. Iron helped humans develop civilizations and cultures in many different places. In this video, we will explore the history of iron and what it means for us today. The Iron Age is a period in human history where people made a lot of things out of iron. The Iron Age began around 1200 BC when people started making tools out of iron instead of bronze or copper. The Iron Age was a time when people started making tools and weapons out of iron instead of bronze or copper, which were two materials they were previously using. The Iron Age lasted from 1200 BC to 500 AD. During the Iron Age, metallurgy became more prevalent because it allowed for the production of better quality materials, such as steel. The last example of the Iron Age is the Roman Empire, which was made up of a great number of people who were mostly skilled in metalworking. In the Iron Age, iron started to replace copper because it was easier to produce on a large scale and also stronger than copper. It lasted until around 500 AD when steel became more popular than iron as a material for making tools and weapons. The Iron Age came to an end because steel was easier to make than iron, so it became more popular to use. The Bronze Age lasted from about 3400 BC to 1200 BC and was characterized by the use of bronze and copper tools and weapons. Copper started to replace bronze because it could be easily produced. Bronze civilizations relied heavily on trade, so they had more contact with other civilizations and therefore, more access to information. Phoenician traders became the first people to make extensive use of bronze, which allowed for increased trade. The process for making bronze was difficult, so a lot of time and knowledge went into it. During the Bronze Age, information was passed through trade. The Phoenicians were well known for their use of bronze during this time and they developed many trading routes with other civilizations. Africa's metallurgy and the rise of African societies. Africa has always been an important part of the world, with many societies emerging from the continent. One such society was the Nok culture, which emerged around 1000 BC in Nigeria. The Nok culture was a metalworking society that created some of the earliest known examples of iron smelting. The Nok culture also had a sophisticated social structure that included kings and queens. The ancient people of the Nok culture are not well known, which makes it difficult to determine what the culture was really like. Some believe that the society's social structure may have been a matriarchal society. With no written records or surviving art, it is hard to say with certainty what life was like for these ancient people in Nigeria. The sites of the ancient Nok culture in Nigeria are concentrated in the south-central part of Africa, near present-day Cameroon and Lake Chad. The Nok people were a pastoral people who lived in large settlements, with a more settled agricultural population living nearby. Archaeologists have found evidence at some Nok archaeological sites that the Nok people domesticated goats, sheep and cattle in the area. The ancient Nok culture seems to have disappeared around 2000 BC. The Nok people are best known from the archaeological sites of Nok culture in Nigeria. They are a vanished civilization that was first settled around 10,000 BC and disappeared around 2000 BC. They spoke a non-Semitic language that is not related to any extant language, including the Berber, Chadic and Afro-Asiatic families. The Nok people are first mentioned in the earliest recorded oral traditions of the Beja people. They are said to have been a pastoral society that moved with their cattle when rain failed. The last mention of them in documents is from 1900 BC to 1700 BC. The literature of the Nok people is fragmentary, but it appears that they worshipped a creator god, called Nok Oben, who was also the god of fertility and water, but was unknown to other African peoples. Their religious beliefs included sun worship, the veneration of cattle, and a belief in witchcraft. The archaeological evidence for the Nok culture consists mainly of megalithic stone circles and dolmens found primarily in the Gabal el-Khao. The Nok architecture is characterized by large, rectangular stone structures built in the form of circles and ovals. The discovery of the Nok people is mentioned by Isidore of Charax in his description of the Roman Empire's western border and eastern limits in 159 BC. Asia's metallurgy and the rise of Asian civilizations. The use of iron in the manufacture of tools and weapons made the civilizations of Asia more prosperous than those in Europe. The discovery of iron and the use of steel in Asia helped to create greater wealth and power than other civilizations around the world. Although many European countries are now prosperous, China and India are the world's most populous countries. India produces more electricity than any other country in the world, while China has surpassed the United States as a leading producer of goods. Iron was discovered in Asia in the 6th century BC. This occurred because the civilizations in Europe were not as developed and wealthy as those in Asia. The use of iron helped to create greater wealth and power than other civilizations in Europe. The first use of iron in Asia occurred about 2,000 years after it was discovered in Europe. The presence of iron was the key factor in making their civilizations more powerful than those in Europe. Most ancient civilizations focused on farming and increasing agricultural production, which allowed them to prosper through trade and technological innovation. Iron enabled them to produce new tools, weapons, and other goods that they could trade. This led to more prosperity and a more powerful military. The lack of iron in Asia has made it difficult for them to have the same quality of life as Europeans did. Because they could not produce goods that were as effective and could not trade with other civilizations as much. The Asian Iron Age began around 500 BC when they started using iron tools and weapons, which allowed them to further power their military and trade with other civilizations. This is the beginning of the Iron Age in China, India, and all of Asia. At the end of the Iron Age, European societies used what they learned from Asia and use a lot of Asian technologies today. The lack of iron left in Europe made it difficult for them to have a strong military, but Europeans still had some quality goods and could trade with other civilizations. The Bronze Age began around 3000 BC and lasted from then until around 1100 BC. The Bronze Age is characterized by the transition from copper to bronze as the main material used for tools and weapons. This new metal made it possible to create stronger weapons and tools. Stay tuned to part 2 of how the Iron Age transforms civilizations around the world, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please. Thank you.